All right, let's get into it. Today, we're going to tackle a huge question. How much of our success is basically locked in by our DNA? We're going to explore how to think about your genetic strengths not as these rigid limits, but more like a roadmap for where you should really focus your effort. And really, it all boils down to this one fundamental question, doesn't it? The people you see at the very top of their game, were they just born with some kind of incredible genetic gift? Or did they get there through pure, relentless hard work? It's a question pretty much all of us have wrestled with at some point. And asking that question puts you right in the middle of a debate that's been around forever. You've got the natural talent camp on one side, the idea that our genes basically predetermine our destiny, and on the other side, you've got the hard work camp, the belief that anyone can get there if they just try hard enough. So, which is it? Well, the answer might actually surprise you. So to get to that answer, let's start by tearing down a really common and honestly kind of powerful myth, the idea that our genes are a cage. We're going to really challenge this whole concept of a genetic ceiling that supposedly decides everything we can and can't do. I mean, think about it. Have you ever caught yourself thinking, oh, I'm just not built for that, or I'll never be as good as them. It's just not in my DNA. This belief that our genes create some hard, unbreakable limit is incredibly common. And you know what? It can be a really powerful excuse for not even trying in the first place. This quote just hits the nail on the head. The problem isn't necessarily that genetic limits don't exist. Maybe they do. The real issue is that we get so obsessed with the idea of a limit that we stop pushing ourselves way before we ever find out where it actually is. That imaginary ceiling becomes the perfect out, the perfect excuse to not put in the real work. Okay, so this brings us to a really important turning point in how we think about all this. If we stop looking at our genes as some kind of cage that holds us back, what should we be seeing them as instead? They're your compass. Now, that's a huge shift in perspective, right? Your genes aren't there to stop you. They are there to guide you. They don't get rid of the need for hard work. They just make it crystal clear where you should be putting that work. So the whole thing hinges on this really cool concept called genetic alignment. It's a simple but kind of profound strategy. Figure out what you're naturally good at, what your innate strengths are, and then pour your time and energy into those areas. It's not about finding an easy way out. It's about finding the right path for all your effort. So how does this compass actually work in the real world? Well, it's basically a four-step game plan. First, you've got to be honest with yourself and realize your strengths. Then, and this is key, instead of trying to patch up all your weaknesses, you double down on what you're already good at. This focus not only helps you spot the right opportunities, but it also gives you permission to say no to the challenges where you'd just be fighting an uphill battle. Now, applying this to ourselves is one thing, but what happens when we look at other people's success? This brings us to another big myth we need to debunk. This idea that other successful people just got lucky in the gene pool. I mean, it's the easy way out, isn't it? When we see somebody who is absolutely crushing it, a top athlete, a brilliant musician, whatever, it's so tempting to just shrug and chalk it all up to them winning some kind of genetic lottery. It totally lets us off the hook. But this quote, man, it just forces you to face that excuse head on. Sure, that trainer at your gym might have better genetics for building muscle, but have you put in the same number of reps they have? Have you been that consistent for years? Until you've actually matched their effort, you have no way of knowing if your genetic hand is better or worse. The work has to come first. And this really clarifies where our focus ought to be. It's not about trying to win a race against someone who might have a genetic head start. The real game is the one you play against yourself. It's all about fulfilling your own potential. The question shifts from, can I beat that person, to am I reaching the absolute peak of my capabilities? Okay, so let's pull all of this together. We're going to combine everything we've talked about into one final, super powerful, and maybe a little counterintuitive new rule. You know, at the end of the day, that lasting satisfaction we're all looking for, it comes from alignment. It's not about forcing yourself to do things you hate. It's about finding the behaviors and habits that just naturally click with your personality and your skills. When what you're doing aligns with who you are, the effort feels sustainable, not like some horrible chore. And it all comes down to this one simple idea. Work hard on the things that come easy. Now, listen, this is not a call to be lazy. It's a call to be smart, to be strategic. Find that area where you have a natural edge, that one talent or interest that just makes sense to you, and then pour your energy into that. That's the sweet spot. That's where your greatest potential and your deepest satisfaction meet. So I'll just leave you with this to think about. What's that one skill that feels kind of easy for you, but that you've never really truly worked hard on? What kind of sleeping potential could you unlock if you finally decided to apply some real, focused effort to your natural strengths?